We're here over at Gatcombe Park, the home of Princess Anne, and we have a lovely gathering of Middlebridge cars. Celebrating their 25 years, along with the other cars' birthdays this year of the Coupe and the SS1. We've got a lovely selection of cars here, all different colours, all the same shape, but very much credit to their owners. Looking around here, we've got some fantastic examples of cars, and long may it can go on. And we're having a lovely day, lots of members of the public coming along to appreciate the cars, and we're having a great time.
This is Middlebridge number 1. It's called Prototype number 1, and it's got quite an interesting history. The car itself was lent to Princess Anne when her car was late for delivery. She had it for 6 weeks and got caught speeding in it twice, and that's what's made this car particularly famous. It was also used as a part press car. There's the prototype, the original prototype car, and then this car, which appears on a lot of the brochures, but was used for the Beaujolais run, and it wasn't very heavily publicised, but the car itself was travelling at an average speed of over 100 miles an hour for that journey, and they nearly won the race, but unfortunately they were held up at the French ports, which is so that happens quite a lot really. But the car itself now has been in my custody for about 2 years. When I got the car, unfortunately, like a lot of the Middlebridges, all the paint had been peeling off. It hadn't really had any proper sort of mechanical attention for a good number of years. We've just spent the last 6 months completely stripping the car down. It's been completely resprayed. I think we're about 85% there at the moment. There's still some bits and pieces that don't work. We've got the famous Middlebridge wiring, and it now looks more like it should do, but we're trying to restore the car back to absolute factory condition.
This came up on eBay about 10 years ago. Somewhat interestingly, it wasn't sold as a Middlebridge, but that's another story altogether. For me, it's all about the aesthetics of it. I don't get underneath it and work on it. I haven't got greasy fingers, so I'm a woodworker. I swap trades with friends who do work for me. As a kid, I always thrived for one. I just thought they looked fantastic. In actual fact, I played for a football team called the Ringers Imps, who the manager owned one of these. And I used to sit in his car and get a lift, even though I was absolutely rubbish at playing football. And finally it was decided that I could just sit in the car and go for a ride rather than actually play football with them. And I've had it over 10 years and absolutely love it. I've had it all resprayed, most parts have been replaced on it, the engine's standard. I've had slightly bigger wheels put on it, which I felt raised the profile of it a tiny bit, and still dead happy with it. Probably intend to keep it forever.
Yeah, fair to say the others have come and gone, haven't they? The
Yeah.
others you've come in and gone. This one's never
feel
been
this one, yeah.
never been on the
Yeah, you get
option
that.
list for swapping for a different target.
Yeah.
I've driven some of the other ones. I've never had the need to drive this one.
We never really bothered
They
about it.
do feel a bit big for me because I'm quite short. It seems like a long way to the front and to the back, but I was quite comfortable to drive it. I drove the automatic last year, didn't I?
Yeah, the 6A.
And I've driven the coupe,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was quite a challenge.
I think they're pretty cool, right? My dad's got a coupe at home, which he's going to sell and keep it. I'm not allowed to drive it till I'm 21.
For the insurance.
Titan Gold, I've owned it for about 14 years. We bought the car initially and it was in Cadbury's purple in rough condition. Decision was made by me about 13 years ago to repaint it a different colour because it was so poor that it required a full strip back. So we chose Titan Gold as the colour choice. Done a few gold signatures before and I thought I'd be a bit braver and move on to the next level, which I did. It's grown on me. I really like the car and the colour. I've now grown to be more Middlbridge orientated than Reliant. I had many Reliants, in fact I still own them. But
How many?
how many have I had? I'd say I've owned about 15.
15 Reliant.
About 15. I've painted about 5 gold scimitars and certain SE6s that are gold around and possibly are the work of me,
Yourself.
you know what I mean? And that's gold with a black roof, that's gold with different pearls in them and things like that. But come to a point where we've done this one between me and my son Matt, who actually painted it, and it was a keeper. If there was something unique about this car, it's the fact that it was bought by the MD of Cadbury's, hence the reason being the colour it was. He ran it for 100,000 miles, put it in the corner next to his Bentleys, until I got it. Interesting fact about the car, it's been totally reliable. I drove it down to Fuengirola in southern Spain, drove up from there to the Disneyland Classic Car Show in 2012 and come second in the whole event.
Really?
Not bad after that mileage and fully loaded with kit and everything. Heated seats and heated screen, a few bits to make it easier to live with. But
reliability wise, it's the standard car, so it proves it.
It's totally standard in every respect.
It is technically electric orange, which is on the Ford ST range. It's commonly known as ASBO, because it's in your face and loud. So aptly named. Yeah, why I bought a Middlebridge, it was because of Mick. It's all his fault. I read an article where he'd done his car up. I wanted some sort of classic hand for the garage, so I bought fiberglass galvanised chassis to stand outside. So I went and sourced one about 4.5 years ago. Spent 4 years sorting all the mechanics out of it. Built a double garage for it, which cost me a kitchen extension the same size for the wife. So it's been quite an expensive car. And then just a few months ago, I decided on colour. Initially I wanted trophy blue or over colour. Looked around on the Middlebridge website and there's 12 or 14 blue cars. Then I thought I'll have a metallic red one. There's too many of those. So then it's right, what colour isn't there? And I came with either orange or yellow. So hence it's orange. And it's
rather resplendent too.
It is actually. It was a brave choice. Some say that it splits opinion, but I can always find it whenever I go anywhere. I never lose it. Car parks, you name it, and people use it as a landmark. So, it spent 500 hours in the paint shop.
How long?
500 hours. threw the job card away then because it was becoming too expensive and put it on a fixed price. So I was quite happy. And believe it or not, it was in a good state before they had it. And if you look around at the 1 or 2 extra bits on it, stainless steel grill that I made.
That's quite smart.
Yeah, and down the side, stainless steel strips.
Yeah.
That took me 2 years to get made.
Really?
Yeah, because I lost them, they moved premises, and then they made 2 left-hand sides, so the left and the right-hand side. And then on the back, I've had the boot lock taken off so it's nice and smooth, things like that. Stainless steel door frames, stainless steel hinges under the bonnet stay, and the current having a stainless steel petrol cap made. I don't ask the price.
Thank you. Well, the car was acquired by my wife and I 16 years ago from a dealership in Coleshill, which was TVR and Middlbridge at the time. That's where it was found, just a lucky find really, all those years ago. And since then, trying to keep it as original as possible. It was inherent with this model, with the 4-speed lock-up gearbox, it was quite a problem for faults, and obviously transferred to this car as well, between about 40 and 50,000. It was a bronze gear that let go, and get lubricated properly, so that happened just a month into the first ownership.
We as a family have had 10 Reliance scimitars of various types, from 1400 SS1s to, we've got an old 1968 Coupe at the moment, we've got a GTC at the moment. What's the other one we've got? We've got a Sabre 1800 Turbo, and we've got the Middlbridge. And the GTC's done 99,000, the Coupe got 98,000 on the clock, but that could be 198 or 298. We don't know. The Sabre's done 99,000 as well. The Middlebridge has done 298,000.
298,000?
Yes, but we haven't done the 298,000 in it. It had a new engine when it had done about 200,000, and it had a new gearbox about 250,000. But the gearbox turned out wasn't faulty, it was the torque converter. Different. Sorry, all different. It's like chalk and cheese. To pick a best car out of the ones we've had would be very difficult, because they drive differently, they feel differently. I'm certainly very fond of this because it cruises beautifully.
This scimitar here is actually the Middlebridge scimitar. I've actually had this for about 6 years. Purchased it back in 2008, and at that time it had an original mileage of 13,500 on the clock, so it was quite a find really. I found it on a website, one of the classic car websites, one Saturday night. Happened to be looking at that. It's just sad. However, the next day, the Sunday, I was down in the guy's garden at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I purchased the car when I saw it. It wasn't in this condition. It was covered in pigeon droppings, the car wouldn't start, the brakes were seized on, and I couldn't get a proper look at it. But the lifting the bonnet and having a look at some of the integral parts of it, I knew that this was sitting under a sort of dust and that kind of thing. So, as I say, I've had the car for 2008, and it's led a kind of sheltered life. I haven't done much with it, I haven't done a lot of travelling, and basically that's because it's got such a low mileage. I don't want to hammer the miles up, but I should really start to use it more. And today it's done 18,000 miles, and 400 of these were done this weekend driving from Edinburgh down to this show.
Right, this car was number 1 Middlebridge in 1988, the first car that they built. It started as a Reliant car, which was totally stripped and rebuilt, and all the engineering work was carried out on this car. One of the interesting details was most Simuses have a 2-inch radiator, and they have overheating problems. This car had to go in a climate chamber at Ford's, and they worked out that it should have a 3-inch radiator, which gets rid of the cooling problem. Now I went to the factory. I was a manager in the electricity industry, and I thought of having a company car, Middlebridge. But knowing the wretched tax situation on company cars, I looked around the factory and I saw there was one Middlebridge under a tarpaulin. So I asked to see the car, and they said this is a pre-production car, and they'd finished with it and it was there. So I very cheekily made them a very low price offer, and they shook my hands, and I was a very happy owner of this car, which I've had 26 years. Now, in over 160,000 miles, it has never once let me down. We've had a close shave. I was coming back from Chester one night, and the clutch was going lower and lower as the cable stretched, and the cable snapped at the top of my drive, top of our lane. But luckily my wife had left the garage door open, so it went down the lane and glided in straight in and stopped. But it has been remarkable. We recorded the petrol on it, and it's about 30.4 to the gallon over all those miles. But some years, in the course of work, I would do 18,000 miles. One year it was 22,000 miles. Middlebridge went right through this as they rebuilt it, and every single detail was checked, and everything was changed. Harvey Bailey worked on the suspension. It has different shock absorbers, different wheels, has an anti-roll bar at the back, and an improved ride as a result. And the 2.9 injection engine is more powerful, smoother and slightly lighter.